This is Mara Elaine on the Buying Space channel. Today I continue reading the book of Psalm. It's in the Old Testament of the Bible. It's the longest book in the Old Testament or in the Bible, to my belief. We're in Psalm 124, which is in a series of Psalms from 124 to 134, which are actual songs that were sung on the way to the festivals and celebrations in Jerusalem, probably even by Jesus. And this psalm is looking forward, or excuse me, not looking forward, looking backward into history. Psalm 124. If the Lord had not been on our side, let Israel say, if the Lord had not been on our side when people attacked us, they would have swallowed us alive, and their anger flared against us. The flood would have engulfed us. The torrents would have swept over us. The raging waters would have swept its way. Praise be to the Lord, who has not let us be torn by their teeth. We have escaped like a bird from the tower's snare. The snare has been broken, and we have escaped. Our help is in the name of the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. It's believed that this psalm was written after a battle and that it was written by David. It's said that 4 of these psalms, between 120 and 134, the Ascension Psalms, were written by David. And some people link it to 2 Samuel 5. Which is a battle with the Jebusites. Of course, the flood could refer to the Great Flood, but just because of the Great Flood doesn't mean that there weren't other floods. So this talks about how the Jews would not exist if God hadn't been on their side. In my own personal life, there have been times that I've come near death, that I've had things happen in my life, motor vehicle accidents, near misses. I've had cancer. I've been through so much in my life. I'm a survivor of a great number of things. And I don't even want to list them because people would call me a liar, wouldn't believe me. So I don't even want to go there. It's not good to divulge all those things anyway. So let me go to 2 Samuel chapter 5, starting in verse 6. The king and his men marched to Jerusalem to attack the Jebusites who lived there. The Jebusites had said to David, "You will not get in here. Even the blind and the lame can ward you off." He was mocking him. They thought, David cannot get in here. Nevertheless, David captured the fortress of Zion, which is the city of David. On that day, David said, anyone who conquers the Jebusites will have to use the water shaft to reach those lame and blind who are David's enemies. That is what they say. The blind and the lame will not enter the palace. David then took up residence in the fortress and called it the City of David. He built up an area around it from the terraces inward and became more and more powerful because the Lord God Almighty was with him. I don't know if I want to get into the rest of this history, but I chose this passage to show the conquering of the Jebusites, who were mighty, and the Jebusite king thought he was unconquerable. And it mentions this water shaft that they used to conquer the city. And the city of David, Jerusalem, had 3 huge walls around it. And then if you look at the city today, it goes from that wall up the hill. And then the hill can be entered onto from the other sides of the hill. So you think, well, how is that defensible? But I recently watched a video where a tour guide of Jerusalem was talking about a recent archaeological discovery. And they discovered on that third side, there's wall, 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 and then hill, and then conquer. You enter the hill from the other sides of the hill and just go down in Jerusalem. So it looked very undefensible. So they found the water shaft. And it was this huge, like, moat that was the entire length of where a wall should have been. But it was a water shaft. So David somehow used that water shaft to conquer Jerusalem. But others had failed to penetrate the city because of the water shaft on that side. So it's like, I get people all the time ask me for proof. Well, they found proof of this water shaft, this huge, immense, long water feature or moat on this side where the hill comes down. And I would say that David's army came down that hill and were able to bypass the water shaft some way. And, of course, we don't know how. The archaeologists are still digging in the area, and we don't know where the water was flowing from, whether it was flowing, whether it was like just a moat that had still water in it. Those things are yet to be determined. But that was what was on that fourth side, that people just were kind of like, well, you can defeat that city easily by coming over the hill, coming up that hill and just going right down into the city. But it wasn't that way. It was defended by this water shaft that David talks about in 2 Samuel. And there are many times that Israel has been removed from Jerusalem, from Canaan, from the Levant altogether, and come back and conquered. And they were conquered by other people. And Psalm chapter 24 speaks directly to that. And also, now that I think about it, since Psalms 124 also talks about a flood, the flood may have been from the water feature on that fourth side. Of course, it could have also been the great flood. But this psalm is saying directly from David, God has preserved us. When I ask for prayer in church for my family, I ask for 2 things. I put our names, and then I put for protection and healing. And there's only one guest preacher that reads my prayer request word per word, like I want it read. Because these, you can say, okay, I'm going to pray for Myra, I'm going to pray for Marty, I'm going to pray for the other members of Myra's family. But you don't know what we need. So I always put all of our names, all 5 of our names, and for healing and protection. If you're going to pray for me and Marty and my family, we want to be prayed for healing and protection. Protection's a very important thing to me because we live in a very chaotic world. We live in a world where I grew up in the United States where people cared about each other. If something was done wrong to somebody, the entire community cared. We live in a world today where majority of the time if something happens to somebody, there's not that many people that care. Matter of fact, they'll be up there with their cell phone filming what's going wrong with that person and not helping them. That's happened right out here at the corner last Christmas time, or right before Christmas. Somebody was laying on the ground, and there were all these people surrounding that person taking video of that person laying on the ground that needed help. And a friend of mine, a fellow church member, drove by and saw that and called 911. And nobody had bothered to call 911 even. With phones in their hand, they're more interested in getting that on video. So yes, we do. Everyone in the United States needs protection and prayer because we're living in a society that's like that now, full of people that are more worried about how many likes they're going to get than they are about another human being's well-being. Laying there on the ground, and they take out the camera and film them. How disturbing that is, that we live in that kind of world. You know, when I was young, everybody there would have been doing whatever they could to help that person, and the ambulance would have been called immediately. I don't understand. I really don't understand. And here we need, when we are protected by God. We are the children of God. When we go through something harrowing, when we go through a near miss, we need to thank God for that protection that He's giving us and He gave us in that situation. I kid you not. I worry. I shouldn't worry. Worry is a lack of faith on my part, but I worry. I do. And when I worry, I need to pray. And I pray. But then something comes back around and I worry again. And I need to remember this song. God has saved Israel over and over. The Lord hath not been on our side. Let Israel say, the Lord had not been on my side. When the people attacked us, they would have swallowed us alive. When their anger flared against us, the flood would have engulfed us, the torrents would have swept over us, the raging waters would have swept us away. How many of us in Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Missouri? Even Missouri's had hurricanes. I'm saying God is protecting us. And He will. He's protected Israel. It's amazing that Israel, with all of its enemies, still exists. Pray that God will protect Israel. Continue to protect Israel. They're surrounded by enemies. They feel they have no choice because of everything that's happened in the past. They've had wars and captivities and wars and captivities. Back in the Old Testament, through the part of the history when between the Old Testament and New Testament, and in my lifetime, enemies and war and enemies. It's amazing. They have survived and they keep coming back because they have faith in God, faith in Yahweh. Because God is not going to let them be swallowed up. It's not going to happen. And all of you out there that hate Israel right now, God help you, because He's on their side. Bless them that bless thee, curse them that curse thee. But God has got this, and He has got you. He will protect you. And have a wonderful and blessed day, and keep Israel in your thoughts and prayers.